Hello and welcome back to Nathan Bell's podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe and share with your friends. Today, Nate would like to talk about if aliens will have similar ideas to us.
Right, today I'm going to talk about whether aliens will have similar ideas to us, like will they have communism, will they have capitalism, will they have government, and my thinking is that there will be great variety in the universe, but there'll also be great similarity. So I've got mixed thoughts, because you can look at life on Earth as an example about how community can be organised, because it all comes down to ways to organise community and ways to organise society. If we want to ask, will alien civilizations have communism, will they have capitalism, we're talking about ways to organise society. So there are other really intelligent, and we're talking mainly in this about intelligent evolved life forms that have organised society, not basic animal life and basic life like microbial life. We're not talking about that. We're talking about highly evolved species that are intelligent, and particularly species that communicate with verbal language and written language. Now we know dolphins are really intelligent. They're as intelligent than us, and obviously they're they're limited in what they can do because they don't have hands to manipulate tools. But if dolphins had hands to manipulate tools, they could probably build things because they're very intelligent, but they don't. They only have fins. So they're unable to do those things. But we know that dolphins communicate with elaborate language now. So obviously their society is structured very differently to ours. And they do have a society in some sense. They have communities, and they communicate with each other across the ocean in different I think, as I understand, different groups of dolphins communicate with other groups of dolphins, but they're very limited because they don't have manipulators, so they can't build tools. They can't use tools, so they can't build the things that go into making civilization. So we're really talking about species that can use tools and also can develop civilization similar to us. And I think with species like that across the universe, there will be very similar ideas. So if we wanted to say, will another species have communism and capitalism? Well, those are ways to organise society. Communism is rooted in sharing wealth, and capitalism is rooted in trading wealth and buying and selling wealth. So what is wealth? So wealth is material wealth. Right, so wealth is resources basically. So we trade in resources. So we know whatever planet the aliens live on, there will be resources on the planet, and the aliens will need to utilize the resources to further the development of their civilization, right? So the aliens will have to utilize the resources to further the development of their civilization. And if the aliens have fingers and a thumb so they can use tools to build things, they will use the resources available on their planet to build things, to build civilization, and then we know it could become quite similar to ours. So we know that the universe is made of a lot of the same stuff, right? There's metal all throughout the universe. So the use of the material, the resource metal, will be common, right? So what it comes down to with determining if aliens will have communism and capitalism is how will they handle the management of their resources, metals and stuff like that, and water and all the resources that are all throughout the universe that other civilizations will use, because the universe is made of all the same stuff, so they will all be using these resources. So how will they handle the management of those resources? Will they trade it in a business-like fashion like capitalists do, or will they share it amongst the community like communists do? Because communism is rooted in sharing and capitalism is rooted in business and trade, right? So the point I want to make about this to determine if aliens will have similar ideas like communism and capitalism is, in some respect, there's only a few ways to organise these things. So again, we're talking about how will their society manage resources. Well, there's not finite ways to manage resources. They could have some vastly different ideas than us, but basically these are basic principles, and you can speculate that they'll be echoed throughout the universe with other civilizations. The idea that either you share all the resources that exist on your planet amongst the population, and we share, because communism is about sharing, and sharing equally mostly is what communism is about. So they will probably have that idea. We can share these things. We can share these metals. We can share this water. We can share this petrol, because they may have similar things to petrol and oil and all of that, because we know, as I said, the universe is made of a lot of the same stuff. Or will we trade and run business with our resource management? Will we manage our resources through a business framework of trading resources, so bartering? Because I want to say, my view is that, and I've said this in previous videos on my video on free market capitalism, trade and commerce emerges naturally. It's one way that resource management can manifest. So it's like we have this metal, which all of us want to use this metal to make things. That's what the aliens are saying. All of us want to use this metal to make things. We can share it, or I can trade the metal I have with you for something else. That's a natural thing to do. So we can conclude based off this that ideas like around the management of resources, ideas like communism and capitalism, whether we share material wealth or whether we trade it in a business fashion, will emerge naturally in their societies as well. Now I want to come to government. And will they have similar government styles like us? Well, they could have vastly different government to us. They could be a hive mind, but being a hive mind requires being telepathic, and we don't know whether anything can be telepathic. People say bees are a hive mind, but there's actually scientific question around whether bees really are a hive mind, because being a hive mind requires that the universe actually allow for telepathic psychic communication, and we don't know whether the universe allows for telepathic psychic communication. If the universe does allow for telepathic psychic communication, then they could be a hive mind and they could share a unified consciousness, in which case they wouldn't have individual thoughts. They would all share the same mind, and then their government system could be vastly different to ours, because they would be there would be a bunch of individual vessels, bodies acting as one greater collective whole, like bees do. But we don't know whether you can actually say that there is such a thing as a hive mind, a group of individual bodies that share a telepathic connection to each other that allows them to act as one entity. We don't know if that's a valid thing to say, that there are hive minds. So a community is a collection of individuals coordinating how they run their society, so that it runs effectively. So if the aliens have individual personalities and individual minds, if they're not a hive mind, if they're a collection of individuals acting as individuals coordinating as a collective, there's only, there might be vastly different ways to do that as well, but really I can see there's only a few ways to do that. One is you can have a monarch, a king, a ruler, emperor, that sort of thing, who rules over all the individuals. So the one individual rules over all the individuals and dictates to all the individuals how it's going to be in the society. The other is democracy, where all the individuals come together and vote in a leader, and they vote, and all the individuals get input into who the leader, and then the leader makes decisions on how to run the society. Another idea you could have is you could have a panel of experts, and this is one way I think our society is going to go in the future. We're going to end up with a panel of experts who run our society for us, non-elected, and that idea is very similar to a king or a ruler, only they're anointed as the rulers of our society because of their credentials and because they're experts. So we give power to the panel of experts because we feel they're going to make the best decisions. So you could have a panel of experts run society, but then that's still ruling over people, because then you lose individuals in the community having any input in how the society is run. And the individuals might be able to communicate with the panel of experts and voice concerns, but at the end of the day, the panel of experts gets the final say on what happens in the society. So those are a few of the ways that you can run a society. Now, you tell me, how many more ways can you hypothetically come up with to coordinate a society? And see, what you realise when you think about it is there's only so many forms government can take. Now, if you want to go and read my Australian Liberal Anarchy Party manifesto, I talk about a direct online democracy where voters come into forums and propose policies which have upvoted for popularity. And that's another way that you could coordinate. That's a democratic process, but it's a different sort of democratic process to what we have. But the point I want to make is, if you really go and think about it, how to organise government and organise society, there's not finite ways to organise society. There's only a limited number of ways that you can organise society and organise government. So there's only so many ways it can be done. So they probably will have similar ideas to us, like democracy, authoritarianism, monarchies, communism and capitalism. So there's some thoughts about how aliens might have similar ideas to us. So drop a comment in the comment section what you think about that.